Thank you and welcome everyone to my talk. Today I will be presenting on fake presidents and how to defraud them. First, short introduction about myself. Then I'll jump right into fake president frauds, what it is, what the psychology behind fake president frauds actually make it work. We'll discuss some prominent cases that we have seen recently in news with you to further elaborate on how to avoid being scammed, what kind of mitigations can be put in place in order to avoid becoming victim of these cases. So first to me, who am I? My name is Florian Lukavsky. I work for CommSec. Started off as security consultant, doing pen tests, source code reviews, for the first 5 years of my career with CommSec. Recently, I moved to Singapore. If it's not hazy outside, enjoy it very much here. And ever since I was a child, I am passionate about security. Fascinating by how things work, and even more fascinated by how things not work or how things are being able to be broken. So let's jump into fake president fraud. What is a fake president fraud? Also goes by business email compromise or fake CEO fraud. Basically, it's a sophisticated scam. It uses social engineering techniques, so mostly a combination of spear phishing or voice phishing. So also telephone communication is involved. It targets virtually any business. Of course, businesses that often deal with wire transfers, businesses that deal with transactions to foreign countries are more lucrative goals, as they will be used to transferring huge amounts of monies to foreign bank accounts. And this is also the goal of fake president fraud, to get the companies to conduct unauthorized transfer of funds. Is it common? The FBI, together with the CS3, published some statistics about fake president fraud. One recent published, so back in mid of 2015, so almost one year ago. There were 8,000 cases reported to the FBI with a total loss of $800 million US. The more recent numbers that were published by the IC3 in May 2016, so just a few months ago. So it's for a duration of only 9 months, we actually see an increase of 14,000 new cases. Not only in the US, but I think it includes victims in 100 countries. And also the amounts increased drastically. So a loss of another 2.2 billion US dollars. So the fraud not only became more common, but the fraudster only became more greedy. So when we do the calculations with the first numbers published, the average loss was around 100K US, whereas now the average loss increased to 160K. So what are the stages of fake president fraud? So in the first stage, of course, the fraudster has to establish contact with the victim organization somehow. He has to create a pre-con, some kind of setup, some kind of scenario, like a takeover of another company or a huge purchase that that is due in some foreign country. The adversary usually impersonates a more senior role, so CEO of a company, president or senior manager of a company, and he targets victims within the organizations that are responsible for wire transfers that are in the account payable department. So he has to do quite some recon in order to get this this information together to come up with a more or less realistic scenario for the victim organization to actually fall for the scam. And then in the end, if everything goes well, he will request for wire transfer and wait for the money to come through. But why do fake president frauds actually work? Yeah, like any social engineering attack, also with fake president fraud, the fraudsters rely on basic principles. So authority for one. We all grow up with listening to our parents, with listening to our teachers. So we're taught that yeah, we have to follow the orders of superiors, of authorities. So this makes president frauds quite effective. Someone impersonating the CEO, so you actually think you deal with a godlike figure. So this makes you follow his instructions. Another technique that is often used is scarcity or urgency. So to create some kind of pressing matter, so giving deadlines, time limits, that it has to happen now, that it has to happen today, in order to get the employee to bypass regular processes, regular procedures that are in place. Also obligation. Often we see that the victims are required to keep it secret because it's a non-public takeover or it's a personal favor that has to be done. And another concept like ability or reciprocity. So the victim actually feels special because the CEO, who he may never have spoken to before, actually chose him. So he's proud that he can help the CEO and that the CEO discusses the topics very friendly and very openly with him. So that makes him trusting and actually do as he was asked more likely. And finally, pressuring the victim, also a very successful technique. So whenever the victim starts to doubt certain activities, to increase the pressure to push over responsibility to the victim, telling him that if the deal fails, it would be all his fault, etc., etc. So some cases that we have seen in the past. I picked out only a few, not to bore you with over 20,000 cases that were reported to authorities. One of the early cases in 2014, U.S. commodities trader who was attacked by fraudsters. They actually lost 17.2 million US dollars. Also in 2014, Metal was attacked, US manufacturing company. They were lucky though. They managed to work together with Chinese police authorities and recover the lost funds. Ubiquity became victim in 2015, lost 46 million US dollars, was able to recover at least a portion of it. Even banks, Belgian bank, Kralen, fell victim in 2016, lost 70 million euro. One prominent case, or at least prominent for me because of my Austrian background, Austrian aviation supplier FAAC, who became victim of president fraud and lost 42 million euro, and it even cost the CEO his job. And just 2 weeks ago, Leonie, German manufacturing firm, made a press release that they lost 40 million euro as well. So what we can see that it is this kind of fraud is not specific to any industry, not specific to company size. So it can virtually hit everyone. And also speaking to friends at accounting departments, all of them or many of them at least know of attempted frauds in their firm. So what can we do to avoid being scammed? What kind of mitigations can we put into place? Well, there are 2 areas where we can tackle. One is on the organizational side, and the other is on the technical side. So on the organizational side, first and most important, increase the awareness of our employees. I cannot stress this enough, how important it is to make the employees aware of such frauds, make the employees aware of basic security principles to make sure that this does not happen. Additionally, defined processes need to be in place so that we are able to deal with such kinds of situations. We can put 2-factor verification for unusual transfers, for new recipients, to have at least 2 people check the legitimacy of the wire transfer. Also, what's important to limit the information that is publicly available about the company. So to be aware that there's in social media networks, on the homepage, to rethink what kind of information you publish about your organization. Limiting this kind of information will make it harder for the adversaries to come up with a plausible pretext. Also enforce strict use of business email addresses for any business matters. So you don't want your employees going off with their Gmail or Outlook addresses to deal official matters. And finally, report also attempts, not only successful frauds, but also attempts to law enforcement to make sure that actions can be taken, that the email addresses can be taken down, that accounts can be shut off. On the technical side, there are also some simple steps that you can do in order to mitigate the risk of becoming a victim to such fraud. First, there's no reason your mail server should or must accept email addresses from your domain from other email servers. So just block them. This will make it more difficult for fraudsters to actually spoof email addresses to come up with a realistic scam. You can implement email signatures, use encryptions like SMIME or PGP. You can mark any emails that come from external sources. So often we see that fraudsters would register a domain name that has a very similar spelling or looks very similar to the original domain name. So to make sure that the employees do not mistake this domain name, we can mark external emails as external in the subject line, for example. We can warn employees before they send emails to external sources. yeah, use strong authentication for any webmail access, so for OVA, for Outlook web access, for example, to make sure or to make it more difficult for adversaries to hijack your mail accounts. And also you can scan for similar looking domains in order to predict such kind of scams from arising. But yeah, so these are the mitigations you can put in place in order to prevent it. But of course, you can also play with the scammers, defraud the fraudsters. So one interesting case where I like the irony of the situation. A French guy actually sent Lucky crypto ransomware to a fraudster and got them to encrypt their hard disk drive. Also, if you're ever bored, 419 419 Ether always makes a great read. It's about scamming the scammers. So one of those guys actually got his scammer to get a tattoo. Yeah, and one case that was offered to me by a friend working here in Singapore at the local bank. So he actually played with the scammer as well, asking him for transfers, for information in order to fish out bank accounts that were used by the fraudsters in order to report them to authorities, to the banks, to make sure that they were not used for any other frauds. So this also shows nicely how this is done. So yeah, presenting fake information to the victims, setting up the con. We can see that the wire transfers were apparently being done. So the fraudster is actually happy. So one of the goals is to keep him happy, send him fake transaction confirmations. Yeah, so I think he was able to identify 6 or 7 accounts so far that were meanwhile taken down and cannot be used for any real fraud anymore. Yeah, you can also use email tracking in order to get more information about the fraudsters, to see where they come from, what they're doing. So yeah, it's not called Nigeria scam for no reason. And we at SecConsult, we developed another approach recently, which is one of the modules of Cybertrap, callback documents, which I will show in a short demo. So just as a yeah, for the situation for the demo. So we have the case CEO. Asked the CFO if he has taken care of the invoice already. CFO, of course, has no clue what the CEO is talking about. Yeah, the CEO is creating urgency. Damn it, I forgot about it. Please do it quickly. CFO, as his good buddy, of course, complies and sends over the funds. 3 hours later, the CEO and the CFO meet up in the coffee room. The CFO lets the CEO know that everything is done, transaction is handled, and this time the CEO has no idea what the fuck the CFO is talking about. Yeah, so they figure out they were actually part of a scam. So the CEO was a fraudster. But what if you could actually identify the fraudster? This is where the SecConsult, Sec Defense squad comes in and sends a callback document to the fake CEO. And to see how this looks like, I have prepared a short demo. Actually live, so pray to the demo gods that everything will be working well. So this is the screen of the fraudster. So he just received the payment confirmation. You can see nicely forged Acme Bank confirmation number. Everything looks very neat and nicely. Meanwhile, I should receive an email with some information about the fraudster. So I can you read it all right? Bit small. So this here is the IP address. So we can actually check out where the attacker is located. So we see that I'm located in Singapore, but we also get the net hash of the attacker. So let's paste that into a hash file. Run John. And we can actually crack the password of the attacker. And hopefully use it to log into his Outlook account. And if it wasn't an account that was just registered for today's demonstration, you would probably see all kind of Facebook, Twitter, etc. messages. And before someone of you gets the idea to hijack my demo account, I will change the password, hopefully. Let's see who is quicker. With that speed. Perfect. So my demo account is still secured. So we actually have control now over the mail account. Can use this to gain further intelligence about the attacker, about other services he's using, his Amazon, his where he just bought his new yacht because he was able to scam 1.8 million of another victim, and hand this evidence over to law enforcement in order to track down the fraudsters even more efficiently. Good. This concludes my talk. Any questions?
Okay. So, any questions from the floor?
Hi. Good question. Is it legal to hack Forster?
Sorry?
Is it legal to hack Forster?
I
What you have done, is it legal? Aha.
We, if we hand it over to law enforcement, I would say it's a gray zone. And I don't think that the attacker would press any legal charges. Unless I'm mistaken, yes. So this kind of technique, of course, has to be used ethically only. So not to do any, I don't know, email tracking or scamming or whatever, but for ethical purposes only.
Okay, interesting. So, any more questions from the floor?
The way I see it, right, when you get the IP address, I think it's more towards the ISP level kind of IP address. So you are not able to identify the exact geographical location of the scammer. So I think there still is a challenge there for you to actually identify exactly where they are. So does your callback documents able to actually fish out the GPS location so that, you know, we know exactly are they doing it in Starbucks or rather than the ISP operated itself? Yeah.
Yep. No, that's true. That's a valid point you bring up. So the IP address, of course, does not point to his home address or to his geolocation where he is at this point in time, but only to the ISP. This is also where the reason why we are looking to get further information about the attacker. So the username will be very relevant. There's a high probability that the fraudster will use his username for other accounts, for Twitter accounts, for Facebook accounts that might be linked with phone numbers. So you get more and more information that you can actually hand over to law enforcement in order to close this gap.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Florian. So let's applause. Thank you.
Thank you.
And